Hello, Victor here from RestoreYourMercedes.com, and what we have here is something different from what I usually do. I usually repair throttle bodies, do some other Mercedes repairs, but this one right here is my personal vehicle, and what happened here is it's S600 Mercedes W140 chassis, and this is an air pump, like a smog pump that injects air into your exhaust for like when the car starts. For first like a minute maybe it runs and then it shuts down. But this pulley sits in front of the pump and the belt runs on this pulley, so it's always spinning once the engine is running. So what was happening is that not only that my pump is actually quite loud, but since it only works for like a minute, I don't really care. Even though it's already removed, so I'm going to actually open it up and lubricate it, and hopefully the noise is going to be a little less. But the major concern was this pulley that's spinning with the engine running actually started to make noises, squealing, and you can tell it's a bearing noise. So I removed it. I removed the pulley and I removed the bearing. So basically bearing sits in there, and you have this ring that holds the bearing inside right there. So I'm gonna, as you can see, there's little notches I had to grind off. All this information can be found on the internet, really. It's just I never saw a video of what people mean by removing this and taking that out and punch press, grinding what. So it's a good idea. It would have been a good idea to make a video so everybody can see how it's done, but so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm thinking maybe replace these bearings. I mean, it's no big deal. If somebody needs to do it, like I can do it. So the idea here is the bearing goes in there, the cover goes in there, this unit goes on top on the pulley shaft, I mean on the pump shaft, and basically it spins. I mean, there's just any other pulley on the bearing. Now when I removed my bearing, I mean, it was all dirty, very dirty. It barely moved, barely spun. When I was cleaning it, as you can see, with the carburetor cleaner, all this black stuff came from the bearing itself. It's all saturated with, like, I don't know what it was, like, it's hard to describe. It wasn't rust though, it was like crud, like grayish, blackish stuff. So just for the fun of it, I opened up covers. As you can see, this is the cover on the bearing. So I opened up the cover and lubricated it and see what happens. Because once I cleaned it, the bearing would spin nice but loud. So I say, okay, well, let me lubricate it and see if it quiets it down, and it did. It's actually pretty quiet right now, as you can see. No noise. Very nice. But I have a local guy here who actually found me a bearing. He rebuilds alternators and pumps and all this stuff. So he found me a bearing which I'm going to pick up on Monday, as I gave him the dimensions of this thing. And just gonna get the bearing and press it in. Press it back into the pulley. Now the model numbers. I mean, there is a model number on the bearing, but I tried to look for it, I couldn't find it. So it's some sort of a German made, as you can see right here, it says Germany. There's a manufacturer name, I believe, Ina or Ina, whatever. Here's the Mercedes part number, which is an interesting part. There is a part number, but it doesn't appear to be sold anywhere. So you got 001-981-4227. So I tried to look for this number and doesn't show anywhere. And then you kind of, not an electronic parts catalog, couldn't find it, or not even on eBay or Google or anything. So L3252 2RS, this is a double roller assembly. There are two rows of rollers, actually the ball bearings. So there's two rows. One row of ball bearings is here, the other one is right next to it. So it's the two-row unit. So basically, theoretically, if I were to put more grease in there and press this bearing back in, put the cover back on, like assemble it all together again, it probably would have worked for quite some time, maybe. Not using, I use just regular lithium grease, but I would use, see, this is what I use, generic lithium grease, but in reality I would rather use some real like bearing grease that I would have bought and put it in. But it is difficult to remove the pump. You have to take the alternator, front sway bar, drain the coolant, a lot of stuff to take out. So basically I decided to better off to put new bearing, because I don't want to experiment with putting this bearing in and find out that the grease would like leak or whatever. That would have been my last resort if I would have not found this bearing new. So this is basically what it is. I mean, the pump itself makes noise. Yes, I'm gonna open it up, see what's in there in the pump, see what's going on. But this is the major one. You can always shut down the pump, disconnecting the wire. You can fool the computer by putting the resistor there in its place, in place of the actual clutch coil that sits right immediately behind here. So it's like it sits right there as a clutch coil. So you can just disconnect it so it never engages. So if that bothers you, you can put on the resistor just to duplicate the resistance, and it will fool the computer into thinking that the actual clutch is active. You can see it's pretty good. So yeah, but this is important. This always turns and spins, so you don't want any noises to come from this assembly. So that's why I just wanted to show how it's made, and that it is doable. And the pump itself is very expensive. The used ones might not last for long, so I might as well replace the bearing and call it a day. Put it back in the car for like many more years of operation again, not thinking that the bearing is gonna seize and break your belt. So for this information, is, well, this is basically what I'm thinking of doing. Maybe if anybody's interested, just go to my website. You find my contact information, restoreyourmercedes.com. If anybody's interested to replace the bearing, I mean, I can do that. You can just send me a pulley. I can press the bearing out, press the new one in, the one that has to be in there, the right size, and mail it back. So you're gonna get the brand new bearing, and you know, it will be nice. The problem is I would have removed the whole damn thing altogether, but the problem with the 95, I have a 95 at 600, so it's gonna give me check engine light. If the car would have been, say, 92, in 92 I deactivated my pump because my hoses were all broken. So I deactivated it, and there was no check engine light or anything like that. But I also had a 93, and I also deactivated the pump on that one, but check engine light came on. So I had to fix it. The pipes were all bad, so I had to replace all those pipes, so I figured I don't need that. So, but eventually I had to fix that pump. It wasn't a big deal. It was not expensive. For 600 it is expensive. This is the pulley number. You see, it was made in 92, 7th month of 1992. So this is, it was installed in my 1995 S600. So either it was a replacement unit, or that was replaced with the later one, or maybe the actual pump was made back then and put on the car in 1995, or 1994 rather, when they produced it. Alright, well, for more information on repairs, you can find me at restoreyourmercedes.com. Thanks for watching, hope this helps.